Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build a very simple, reliable, and bone meal efficient micro farm or nano farm in your Minecraft world in light of the Village and Pillage update recently breaking all villager crop farms on this entire platform. I decided it would be a good idea to have a quick and easy source of all of your different crops and dyes, and that is what I've designed. This little micro farm in front of you here can farm potatoes, carrots, wheat, beetroots, and of course your double tall flowers as well. So overall, a pretty sturdy little design. So in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to build two different designs. Design number one is the slower but much more reliable design that can be adjusted to work with however much lag you might have in your world. This one will get you about 2.5 stacks of crops per minute or about 9,000 crops per hour, so overall pretty good. And then design number two, the secondary one, is a little bit more expensive but much faster, getting you about 4 stacks of crops per minute or about 15,000 items per hour, which is quite the difference. However, design number two isn't as reliable on the laggier worlds, so it is not going to be the focus of today's video. So this micro farm works about how you would expect it to. We have an on switch over here, which just powers a clock in the back. That clock then powers our 6 dispensers and it moves our dirt block up and down. Now, the nice thing about this farm is that while the dirt block is lowered, we can plant and bone meal something and harvest something. And then while it's also up here at this layer, we can also plant on top of that and then bone meal it as well. So if we slow down the video, you can see that while the dirt block is down and up, both times it is being fully bone mealed and fully harvested, so we're not wasting any time or any bone meal at all with this design. So it's super nice. As you can see, it's working for wheat. We can use this with beetroots as well if we get some seeds back, and of course we can use this on carrots and potatoes as well. So a fully functional, well-rounded, and efficient micro farm for your worlds. And as you can see, it's working with potatoes. So this farm also has one additional feature, which is mostly just like a lever, and then you can plant your double tall flowers up there and get a bunch more of these things for a really quick and easy source of dye. Swinging around the back of this micro farm, as you can see, it is very basic. We just have a very simple clock down here with 2 repeaters. This allows you to adjust the timings. If you're playing on a very laggy world, you can make the delay much longer to make it more reliable for you. And I've found that 5 ticks works on pretty much every world and realm as well. As you can see, we're just observing that clock activating to power all of our dispensers, and that makes sure that we never lose any bone meal from something being underground before it gets harvested. Everything always gets grown to maximum, so we never lose any bone meal. So before we hop into the tutorials, let's check out design number 2, of course. So as you can see, this thing is a little bit bigger and a little bit more expensive. There are 8 observers on this thing, but it is well worth it. If we just go ahead and go into survival mode real quick and then just turn this thing on, you'll see that this thing is way faster and it works just as reliably as the other design. However, it is not reliable on realms or any world where you might have a lot of lag. But as you can see, this thing is actually really quick, and honestly, I know it might not work for like 80% of you, but I mean, at least try building it, because if it does work for you, it's going to be much nicer than the other design, simply because it is so much faster. One last thing before I show you how to build these farms is going to be a full materials list for both of these builds down in the description, and we're going to be doing the tutorial for design number 1 first. Moving on to the tutorial for design number 1, the space needed is going to be 5 blocks wide by 4 blocks deep, with an additional 4 or 5 blocks above ground, depending on if you want to farm double tall flowers with your micro farm. So once you have that area laid out, we're going to come to the front left side and place 2 stairs just like this. This is actually where you're going to be standing to use your micro farm. In between these stairs, you want to place a sticky piston facing upwards in the ground, and then just remove some blocks around that in a 3x3 area, and remove a couple of blocks to the right of that as well. So you should have like a 5x3 area in the ground right here. So now we're going to make the actual clock for our system. So place a block behind your sticky piston with a redstone torch right there, going into a repeater that's going to be on 1 tick, 2 pieces of redstone dust, and then just a repeater going right back into there on 4 ticks. So now get yourself a block right here, another redstone torch that is going to power all of that and basically stop your clock, stopping your micro farm. place yourself another piece of redstone dust right there, and one block to stop those pieces of redstone canoodling. So now we're going to install the on and off switch. Basically just place a solid block right there and get yourself a lever on that front. Whenever you flick that down, your micro farm will turn on. Tiny note here about the activation circuit for this design. You can actually move your on switch to the left by a block and then just put a redstone torch on the back of that. And then you can also replace that redstone dust with a block. So there you go. I just saved you 2 redstone. Now back to the tutorial. Now that we have the foundation of our micro farm built up, you want to grab yourself some solid blocks and place them on either side of your sticky piston like so, a solid block behind it, and then just go ahead and fill in these 3 blocks as well, just to prevent any items from actually glitching out of your machine and falling back behind it or falling down in the redstone. This will keep all the items going directly into your inventory, which is exactly what you want. Now grab yourself your 6 dispensers, and you want to put 2 on this side, 2 on the back side, and 2 on the right side as well. This is also a good time to place in your dirt. And now go behind the machine, and you basically want to place 2 observers facing right down into that redstone torch. That'll bring the signal from your clock up into the upper area so that you can then power all of your dispensers. So you basically want a block above your observers and then 2 blocks to either side, redstone dust, and 2 more right there as well. And now whenever you turn this on, it's going to be very, very loud and very annoying as well. So if you don't want to use 2 tall flowers in your farm, simply just place 1 block right there. But if you do want to use 2 tall flowers, then you're going to need a little bit of blocks like that. And you're also going to want to get yourself a lever right here on the ground so that you can power that, keep it from going up and down. So you can of course decorate the front of this however you choose. I'm not going to do anything like that. However, I am going to go ahead and put some solid blocks right there just so that we can install our water source. Our water source needs to be right here in this corner so that it can actually hydrate our farmland when it's up in this location and also down by a block as well. Nowhere else on the build will really work as well. So go ahead and just click on that stair with a water bucket. Make sure you know it's not going to flood out, and you should be good to go. Once you go ahead and till that thing, it should turn into hydrated farmland and be perfectly fine. As you can see, you also want to go ahead and fill up all of your dispensers with bone meal. And yes, that does mean that you will need to turn on the farm to reach this dispenser right here. So let's try it out. We're going to turn it on and basically stand right here all the way against this block, so we always pick up all the items, and then just start holding down our plant button. And as you can see, this thing is working fantastically. We're getting a ton of potatoes every single time it goes up. It's getting fully grown. Every single time it's going down, it's getting fully grown as well. And of course, with this design, you'll get 2.5 stacks of crops per minute. So now for design number 2, we're gonna have the same basic base as design number 1. So you got your 6 dispensers, you got your sticky piston facing upwards with dirt above it, and pretty basic stuff. Here is the back, of course. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna start off from the right side now, and we're just gonna have a sticky piston facing towards the back of the machine with your lever on the front of it. That's gonna be your on and off switch. And then we want to put an observer facing downwards right there with a temporary block behind it, trapdoor above it, and then you need to go down into the ground and place an observer facing upwards towards that temporary block. Fill in the hole, remove that temporary block, and then put a block right there and a block right there, as you want a repeater on 1 tick coming out of that observer. You now want to get yourself a piece of redstone dust going into that piston and just fill in all of these extra blocks because you don't need air spaces. And now we need to get ourselves a bunch of observers in here. So come around the left side of the build, and you basically want to place one right here at the bottom going into these 2 dispensers. And then you need to get one right here going into these 2 dispensers. Flip around to the other side, and we need one right here going into these 2 dispensers. Remove that temporary block, and that is most of our build completely done. And let's go ahead and head down to the bottom and place 1 more observer facing upwards like so, 1 observer facing that trapdoor, 2 pieces of redstone dust, and then 1 final observer. You could probably get away with a few less observers in this build, to be fair, but this is the way that I have gotten it to work, and it works really well, so I don't want to touch it. The final touches is going to be 1 water source right here just inside of that stair. Just go ahead and fill that with a water bucket, and that is pretty much it. Of course, to fill it with bone meal, till that block, turn the thing on, And now we can actually go ahead and test this thing as well and see just how well it works. And yeah, as you can see, we're getting ourselves a ton of potatoes very quickly. This thing is bone mealing, and it looks like everything is working just fine. Now, do keep in mind, this thing is kind of temperamental. Bedrock Edition is completely random when it comes to the redstone, so if you build this thing on a chunk border or just on a laggy world, it likely will not work. However, it is kind of an impressive build. 15,000 crops an hour from a micro farm. It is by far the best one that I've seen on Bedrock Edition, so that is why I just showed you guys how to build it. I hope these micro farms will hold you over until the next update, where hopefully they will fix some of the villager mechanics and I can release a brand new working villager-based crop farm on the channel. If you do want to see that tutorial when it goes live, of course, be sure to subscribe, that way you don't miss it. And while you're down there, maybe leave a like on the video. It would be greatly appreciated. It seriously does help out. And if you do know anyone that does need a micro farm or just some source of crops in this update, consider sharing this with them as well. I'm sure they would appreciate it. But thank you all very much for watching. I do appreciate you guys watching and spending the time listening to my derpy voice. I will see you guys down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.